Good afternoon and welcome to the afternoon session here at the Board of County Commission meeting here in Seminole County. The date is October 22, 2024. We are going to reconvene with the beginning of the employee service recognition, which will be put on by Ms. Melanie Kuntz. Ms. Kuntz, please proceed.
Good afternoon, Chairman and Commissioners. My name is Melanie Kuntz, Assistant County Manager, and today I'm standing in for Christina Brandolini. This afternoon, we have the pleasure of recognizing our employees and retirees in their years of service. We're going to start with the fire department, and Deputy Chief Hetler is going to introduce his two employees, and we'll take pictures afterwards.
Great. Yeah, once we get everybody recognized, we'll have the board come down and we'll get photographs with everyone.
Good afternoon, Chairman and Commissioners. We have two employees that we are recognizing for 20 years of service. The first is Beth Dan. Beth Dan graduated from Jupiter High School and was a former Winter Springs Police Department dispatcher before joining Seminole County's Emergency Communications Center in July of 2004. During her tenure, Beth has served in numerous roles and in various capacities within the Communications Center. Most notably, she was promoted to shift supervisor and has also served in the capacity as interim training coordinator and communications center manager. She currently leads the men and women of C Shift as the shift supervisor. Beth is married and resides in Winter Springs area of Seminole County. Next, we have firefighter Christopher Tulip. Firefighter Chris Tulip has spent a majority of his life in Florida. He went to Rollins College on a baseball scholarship before attending UCF later on. In 2003, he attended Seminole Community College for EMT and minimum fire standards classes. He was hired by the Winter Springs Fire Department in 2004, where he was promoted to the rank of engineer, and was later part of the merge with Seminole County. Firefighter Tulip has been part of the Peer Fitness team, CPAT instructor, rescue standardization team, and was selected to be a part of the engineer training project. He was one of the crew that opened up New Station 29 and is still currently assigned there. Chris and his wife Megan share an amazing daughter and reside in Orlando.
Next, we'll have Rick Durr introduce three of his employees.
For the record, Rick Durr, Director of Parks and Recreation. I'll first acknowledge Rich Merritt for 20 years of service. So a little bit about Rich. Born in Lincoln, Nebraska. Rich moved to Central Florida in '95. He worked first at Mayfair Golf Course, and then he moved on to a little place called Rolling Hills, which is pretty interesting. During that time, 6 years of employment, Rich developed his base knowledge in Florida horticulture and groundskeeping chemical applications, and I'll describe what that is in just a second. In August 2004, Rich was hired on at Seminole County. He was first stationed with a roving crew at Lake Mills Park, just in time to start clearing debris from the trail systems from Hurricanes Charlie, Francis, Ivan, and Gene. Your job hasn't changed a whole lot since then. Rich moved to the projects team after a few years, where he obtained his Florida Department of Agriculture and Consumer Service Limited Lawn Ornamental License, or Spray Tech for short. In doing so, Rich took on a dual role as both a trades worker and as the county sports field chemical applicator. For the last 10 years, Rich has played a crucial role in the health of not only the Seminole County sports playing surfaces, but also for the players' health and safety. Rich, thanks for your tireless efforts in being a beacon of positivity in your workplace. We're grateful for your passion, resilience, and the creativity you bring to your projects. Your work has not gone unnoticed. We look forward to seeing all the amazing things you'll continue to accomplish. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And the last two are recent retirements. So the first one is Gail. Gail Ritchie, come on up. Gail retired as a circulation supervisor after 22 years of service in our library services division. Gail's coworkers said she brought a kindness, positive energy, and a smile with her every day to work. Gail was always a supportive mentor to her library staff and encouraged her employees she supervised to continue their education and complete their library sciences degrees. Born in Wisconsin, Gail is an enthusiastic Green Bay Packers fan. She began playing billiards in college and went on to play competitively, even traveling to Las Vegas and other special destinations to compete. Gail also enjoys swimming and participated in the Walt Disney World Triathlon with her daughters. On behalf of Seminole County, we wish her congratulations in her retirement, and we appreciate her years of dedicated, exceptional public service.
Nice.
Thank you. And last but not least, Joe Jenkins. Joe retired as Parks ADA Coordinator after 29 years of service. Joe was born in California and moved to Sanford at the tender age of 2. After high school, Joe began a career in construction working for Greater Homes for 22 years. He then accepted a position with Seminole County in 1995 where he served first as a trades worker and then most recently as ADA Coordinator within Parks. Joe's commitment to excellence and unwavering dedication have not only shaped the quality of our parks, but have also profoundly enhanced the lives of those in our community. Throughout his career in Seminole County, he's exemplified the true spirit of public service, approaching every project with skill and determination. As ADA Coordinator, he championed accessibility, ensuring that our environments are welcoming and inclusive for all of our residents and individuals. His tireless efforts have left a legacy that will benefit generations to come. And on behalf of Seminole County, thank you for your remarkable public service, and we wish you all the best in your retirement.
And we had 7 others that were not able to attend today, so I'd like to just mention their names. Bobby Michalik, 30 years with Parks and Rec. Michael Ben, 25 years with Public Works. Jody Rivera, 20 years with Utilities. Nicholas Clark, 20 years with Utilities. Ryan Switzer, 20 years with Resource Management. And a retiree, Stephen Thompson, 31 years with the Fire Department. And this concludes our portion. If you would like to come down, we can take pictures at this time.
Please come up and join us for photos. Thank you. For 9 seconds?
Yep.
It'll be perfect.
Just under 10.
See, there you go.
10 is too long.
Okay. Well, this brings us to our portion of our public hearing agenda. I would like to have some movement for proof of publications, please.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, like sign. Hearing none, passed unanimously. Any commissioner receive any ex parte communication? If so, please disclose such and how it was submitted.
No, sir.
None. None.
Same here. None submitted. All right. We will ask the county attorney to read the rules of public engagement and speaking. Ms. LaTorre?
While the board welcomes comments from all persons with an interest in these proceedings, Florida law requires that the board's decisions and quasi-judicial actions be supported by competent, substantial evidence presented to the board during the hearings on the applications. Competent, substantial evidence is such evidence as a reasonable mind would accept as adequate to support a conclusion. There must be a factual basis in the record to support opinion testimony from both expert and non-expert witnesses. Persons presenting testimony may rely on factual information that they present, information presented by county staff, information the applicant presented, or on factual information included in the county staff report to support their testimony. All persons who present written materials to the board for consideration must ensure that a copy of such materials is provided to the clerk for inclusion in the board's record of proceedings and official minutes. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Our first item up is item number 29, Oak Manor right-of-way vacate, and this will be presented by Joy Giles.
Yes.
Ms. Giles?
Yes, good afternoon. Joy Giles, Principal Planner for Development Services, presenting the Oak Manor right-of-way vacate request. The applicants are requesting adoption of the resolution vacating and abandoning a portion of an uncut, unnamed right-of-way in the Oak Manor plat, as recorded in Plat Book 11, page 32 of the Public Records of Seminole County, for properties better known as 2340 Pine Street and 2337 Palm Way in Oviedo. The applicants have petitioned Seminole County to vacate and abandon a portion of an unnamed, uncut right-of-way along the north perimeter of Lot 14 and 15 of the Oak Manor subdivision. The right-of-way is 30 feet wide and 270 feet in length, abutting the north perimeter of both Lots 14 and 15. The portion of right-of-way subject to the vacate request is 170 feet in length, leaving 50 feet of right-of-way at each end of the platted street for the purpose of providing a turnaround for public safety fire and other emergency response vehicles. The property owners of Lot 14 and 15 would like to incorporate the area subject to the vacate into their lots. The 30-foot wide right-of-way is located at the end of the Oak Manor plat. Therefore, if vacated, the the property owners of Lot 14 and 15 will acquire the entire 30-foot portion of the vacate. The subdivision directly adjacent to the north of the platted right-of-way is separated by a perimeter fence for their subdivision. The applicants have provided letters of no objection from all of the utility companies, and Seminole County staff has no objection to the vacate request. Therefore, the staff is requesting that the board adopt the resolution vacating and abandoning a portion of an uncut, unnamed right-of-way in the Oak Manor plat as recorded in Plat Book 11, page 32 of the Seminole County Public Records. Thank you.
Thank you. Any inquiries of staff? Is the applicant here and wish to make any statements to the board? If you'd like to speak to the board, sir, please come forward. If not, we can proceed. You good? Thank you very much. We appreciate that. Anyone from the public to speak on this, Dominique?
No, sir.
Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing portion and go to the district commissioners. Commissioner Delary?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I fully support this, and I think it's important to, again, just note that staff's recommendation to leave out the 50-foot of right-of-way on each side of the platted for emergency purposes, for turnaround, for public safety, and for emergency vehicles. With that, I'd like to make a motion, resolution vacating and abandonment a portion of the uncut, unnamed right-of-way in Oak Manor plat as recorded in Plat Book 11, page 32 of the Public Records of Seminole County as presented here today.
Second.
Motion is second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed, like sign. Seeing none, carries unanimous. Thank you, Ms. Childs. Next item is our public hearing legislative portion of the hearing. This is going to be item 30, disposition of county property for affordable housing. This presentation will be put on by Ms. Allison Thal, Community Services Director. Ms. Thal?
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Allison Thal, Community Services Director, for the record. And I am going to be speaking to you about the disposition of our property. So I'm here to present the updated affordable housing property inventory and ultimately request the approval of a corresponding resolution. I'll begin with a brief review of Florida Statute 125.379, which addresses the disposition of county property for affordable housing, followed by a review of the updated affordable housing property list. In 2007, Florida Statute 125.379 was created for the purpose of requiring each county to prepare an inventory list of all real property within its jurisdiction that is appropriate for the use for affordable housing. The governing body of the county must review the inventory list at a public hearing and may revise it at the conclusion of the public hearing. The governing body shall then adopt a resolution that includes an inventory list of all such properties. Thereafter, every 3 years, staff is required to prepare an updated property inventory pursuant to the statute. However, nothing precludes staff from updating the inventory more frequently. Since 2007, approximately 40 county-owned parcels have been identified and approved for use for affordable housing. The inventory presented today includes 11 new parcels. When we last updated the inventory on February 28th of 2023, there were a total of 16 properties on that list. Within the past year, 8 of the existing 16 properties have been donated to area nonprofit developers for the creation of affordable housing. With today's updated list of 11 new properties, we now have a grand total of 19 available parcels. Therefore, my requested action today is to approve and authorize the chairman to execute the resolution for the disposition of current county property for affordable housing for use in conjunction with affordable housing purposes pursuant to Section 125.379 of the Florida statutes, and approve the county manager to execute all forthcoming donation agreements under this resolution. This concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Thal. Any inquiries with staff on this matter? Seeing none, any public wish to speak on this matter?
No, sir.
Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing, go to board action. Commissioner Herr.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move to approve as presented.
Second.
Motion second. Under discussion, I would only say thank you very much. This is something that I have been pushing since I was on planning and zoning to try to get this pushed forward. I'm glad that we are identifying these parcels for the need that obviously we're going to have. So kudos to you and your team. We sincerely appreciate it, as well as our development services, public works, and all those others that have to weigh in on these surplus properties. So thank you very much. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Like sign? Hearing none, pass unanimously. Thank you very much. Next item is our county attorney's report.
I had just a brief update on a litigation matter involving the Bear Warriors and Geneva Citizens Group. They filed an appeal about 1.5 years ago of a site plan approval of this board, and it was related to a site plan that was approved for the Yarborough property. Since that property was purchased by the state, we have filed a joint order of dismissal, so that case has come to a close. I just wanted to update you on that.
Thank you very much. I did notice that on the on social media that there's some accolades that somehow they defeated the county through this process of filing this appeal. Is that a proper interpretation?
No, there was an agreement between the county and the two entities that appealed to dismiss the appeal. Since the state purchased the property, it was moot.
Okay, great. Thank you very
Mr.
much.
Chairman, also,
Commissioner
I think
Constantine.
on that same one, they were congratulating themselves for forcing us to pursue the
Yeah.
Yarborough property.
Well, there's that.
Yeah, and then there's that.
Thank you very much. Anything else? Okay, we will move to county manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. And just a couple items. Just wanted to give you a quick update on the animal services review of the department. As you know, we're going through that now. We thought we would be complete by now, but the storms kind of put us a couple of weeks behind. But our outside person that's doing the review has interviewed all of the employees, and now they are interviewing the volunteers and some partners that we work with. So I should have something probably in the next couple of weeks for y'all. She's wrapping everything up as we speak. So
Great.
I have not, and kind of anxious. None of us have seen it, or we're not even talking with the reviewer or anything. So we're just letting her do what she needs to do, and then provide the raw report to us, which you all will get as well. And then you heard Alan Harris this morning with the emergency management accreditation, but we also got reaccreditation with parks with CAPRA. I think it's called CAPRA.
Correct.
I asked Rick what that stands for. He hasn't sent it to me yet, but we just got that notice yesterday as well. So we've been reaccredited in the Parks and Rec
Nice.
area as well.
Great.
And that's it. Thank you.
A lot of things to be proud of. All right. Any questions for the county manager or county attorney before we move on? Seeing none, we'll go to district commissioner reports. Commissioner Herr.
Yes, on 10/16, I had the opportunity to be in the EOC when Congressman Mills came with his team and brought with him 10 Starlink satellites to donate to the county. These are to be used by our team to stay in communication when communications are down or difficult. And he also extended the offer that should we need more, and I know our staff heard it loud and clear, that he could secure them for us. So the notion is that these would be applicable in a vehicle so that the vehicles in the area could stay in contact in true emergency situations, which is really pretty phenomenal. So thank you to Congressman Mills and his office for facilitating that and making sure that the county was in that gift exchange, which I think ours was a handshake, and he gave us 10 satellites, so that was a pretty good deal for Seminole County. You heard the update from the ROM Gratitude in Action luncheon this morning, and I will just point out, Chris was rather humble about that he has hired some new team members there that are changing the way they're fundraising. That was the most successful luncheon for Rescue Outreach Mission that I've ever been to. And I went to them years ago through all of the iterations and ups and downs of that organization. And I would also tell you that it rivaled some of the organizations that have been in town for a very long time that do these things very regularly with consistent staff and boards over the years. So that was pretty exciting. I had the pleasure of hosting the mayor's update for the Seminole County Regional Chamber, and I just want to give a shout out to all the city commissioners that tolerated my sense of humor for that event, because it's a rather dry event, and chamber members don't necessarily need 45 minutes of talk about that, so there were a few jokes that may have landed flatly at their expense, so I'm just going to own that. I want to give a huge shout out, and I'm sure we will all do this, but to the entire team for the work that was done during Milton. It really is heroic, but I'm going to give a special shout out to some of the unsung heroes. And I don't know if everybody that's sitting in this room realizes it, but you're sitting in the Seminole County Daycare Center. And so even when staff members have to be in the EOC and they have, I would imagine this would be the place of last resort, although it may be the place of first resort. We have staff members that volunteer to help other staff members with their kids while they're here. I would like that duty at some point, but you all may not want me there. Ask my children.
I was wondering what the bubble gum and wrappers were.
There's stuff everywhere, yeah. That's what it's from. So we started with the number that we ended with, and there was no blood, and there were no bruises. That's the measure of a good day with a bunch of kids, right?
Amen.
Exactly. And they were the same kids. And with that, I'll yield the floor.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Delary.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I would also continue that same sentiment about all the county staff people working hard, and also their families for being home while their family members are basically helping those that are needing help during out the storm. There's a lot of kudos needs to go out on so many different levels. So it's amazing to see the team in action. We've all seen it in other storms as well, and it is truly amazing to see how they practice with this day in and day out when there isn't a storm, that they're fully prepared. And it's nice to know that we have the best of the best working, not just for the county, but helping those that need help. So kudos to all of you. I also want to congratulate Commissioner Matt Morgan. Last night, he received an award from Congressman Mills for Hometown Hero. That was presented to him by Congressman Mills' office. And I want to congratulate City Commissioner of Longwood, Matt Morgan, for being a part of the community and receiving that award from the congressman. I also want to pass out a packet of things that have been happening drainage-wise in and around the south part of Seminole County. And there's been a lot of drainage issues. Staff is aware of this. Can you just pass that down?
The whole thing?
Yeah, just pass it down. Everybody picks one. There's several homes that have been flooding even before the storms. And obviously during the storm, they've flooded a lot more. And I want to thank staff for trying to not just solve the problem, but there's a lot more work that needs to be done. I know the county manager is aware of this. I just wanted to bring this to everyone's attention. So if there has to be any additional work done or any additional issues, that you can get briefings from our staff, because there are existing townhouse units that are flooding existing single-family homes. There are drainage ponds that should be working that sometimes are not working. And there are intersections that shouldn't be holding water that are holding water. And I want to thank staff for looking into this. And as they get fixed, I'll be reporting back to the Board of County Commissioners. I want to thank everyone. End of my report.
Thank you, Commissioner Delory. District 3, Commissioner Constantine.
To continue the theme, once again, I think all of us know how much not only the emergency preparedness team, but the whole team, starting with our county manager on down, what they do and how they respond to the people here in Seminole County, I think has put us a cut above so many places in and around Florida. But, Florida itself does a great job. Practice makes perfect, unfortunately, but we do, the whole state reacts to one another. I was talking to the county manager in Sarasota, who called me about something else, and I had called him about something, and they just, each county just wants to thank other counties for the service and the participation and the involvement. And even when we're having problems, our people might be somewhere else helping others, and it really is a wonderful cooperation. I wanted to say that it wasn't, Andrea, it wasn't so dry. You did a great job in all of the jokes. Yes, some of them were a little corny, but they worked because not the audience, but the participants that you had to deal with are a little corny and nice people. And it is wonderful to see how much not only do the 7 cities cooperate with each other, but how much they cooperate with us and how many innovative things they are doing themselves. And now we have 2 cities that are debt-free that we get to hear about all the time. Also, I did want to say that at the rescue outreach mission that I also attended, I have also attended a number of them, and that was a wonderful program. And I thought that, today you see the difference night and day from what we first recognized a number of years ago as being a real crisis has now turned into something that you see some professionalism. And I once again encourage the county manager to continue to work with them and bring forth things that we need to know about and can help, and of course, Commissioner Herr and her involvement. On October 24th, or 25th, excuse me, the Florida Local Governments Investment Trust Board, I'll be having my second meeting of that, and just wanted everyone to know that was coming up. We have some fun things over the next couple of weeks that I just wanted to bring with. So many different communities in Seminole County. On October 26th, the German American Society is having their Oktoberfest down in, it's kind of like the corner of Castleberry, Longwood, and Altamont Springs. It's really not, I think it is part of Castleberry, but they kind of like merge right there.
Part of it's in the unincorporated too, though, I think, isn't it?
I'm sorry?
Isn't part of it unincorporated?
Yes, it is. And
Yeah,
then
that's
you
what I
have,
thought.
and then you have, the parking right there at the
Right.
cemetery.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, or near the cemetery. And also the Greek Fest is going to come up November 1st through 3rd. So we have two of the wonderful communities of Seminole County having events in the next 2 weeks. I'm looking forward to the Seminole County Economic Development Hub ribbon cutting, which will be October 30th, and the statewide opioid council on abatement. Sheriff Lima and I both will be attending that as part of the statewide council. And I hope you all don't kid me again about this, but November 1st is Lyman High School's homecoming, which would also be celebrating their 100th anniversary. And yes, I was at the new Lyman. I was the first graduating class of the new Lyman. And with that...
What year was that?
That was 1970. So, Milwee used to be Lyman. I don't know if you all knew that, but Milwee was Lyman, and I was there junior year, and no air conditioning, none. And that was not fun going to summer school.
You went to summer school?
Well, now we opened it up.
We can, but it was to get ahead on my college. Yeah.
I didn't know the school.
See, I was ready for that one. And with that, just look forward to seeing you all in the next meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Constantine. Commissioner Lockhart.
I don't have much to say that hasn't already been said, but I will echo the thanks to all of the folks who helped get us through the preparation, the during, and the restoration of Milton and Helene. I think some of us didn't realize that we were still recovering from Helene when Milton came. One of the takeaways, and I forget which city mayor brought it up at the mayor's panel, the question was, what did you learn from this? We always learn something new from each storm event, and what was your takeaway that you learned? And one of the mayors said, talking about debris pickup and cleanup before the storm hits, which I was surprised, shouldn't have been, but I too was surprised at how many people remarked on social media that they were unaware of what the expectations were for storm cleanup. Having lived here through the summer of 2004 and all of the subsequent storms, that, when you've been around, you just know what the deal is. You pile your stuff up at the curb. And so I don't know if it's a function of how many new folks we have had move here, or if it's just hurricane amnesia, but it's amazing to me how many people have remarked that it was too late to tell them after the storm what they were expected to do to clean up. They didn't have power, they didn't have internet, and so pushing out messages via social media after the storm was too late for them. And so that was just a remarkable takeaway, not casting aspersions on our team by any stretch of the imagination. I think our community information team did a phenomenal job putting out videos, and the information was just superb. But the thing that continues to sit with me, and I'm kind of marinating in this many days after the storm, is the level of expectation of some of our community members on how quickly they believe everything should be put back to normal after a natural disaster. And I don't know how to level set those expectations moving forward, but I think it's worthy of a conversation.
there, and again, maybe it's because we were here in 2004, and I personally was without power for 3 weeks during that summer. And so when I was without power for 3 days for Milton, I felt like I'd hit the lottery. It was fantastic to only be without power for 3 days. So for future conversation, and as you're doing that follow-up with your team, you talked about doing your after action. I'd just love to have there be some discussion about how we communicate expectations before the storm of what to expect after the storm. That's all I've got.
Okay. Thank you very much, Commissioner. I will pick up on that one and carry on the hurricane narrative. Many good points made, and we certainly are blessed that we didn't receive the storm that we were expected to receive. One of the big takeaways I had from this event was now that we do have public information staff that are in the EOC 24/7 and those working behind the scenes to push out social media, all the film clips and things that are given to us either by the state or the feds that we're pushing out. And yet I still get calls, what am I supposed to do? I don't know what to do. We've done everything that, I can't imagine that we could do anything more from a social media outreach. Newsletters were going out via email. We were doing press conferences in advance telling folks, show some compassion, show some patience. This is not going to be based on what we were supposed to get, this is not going to be a 1-2 day event. Have some expectations. But speaking to one of my pastors who reminded me when I shared some of this with him, he reminded me, he says, Jay, people are basically, humans by nature are selfish. And their expectations are that things happen very quick. We tend to have instant gratification expectations that we can quickly turn something around. And for those of us that have lived here either all of our lives or the majority of our lives, quite frankly, this was, for all practical purposes, and you can't say that for people that had trees fall in their homes, but in the grand scale of things, this was a non-issue compared to what we experienced during Charlie, Jean, Tropical Storm Faye, and those things. Yes, we have flooding. Yes, we have trees and limbs down. And yes, we have traffic lights out and those kinds of things. But you don't have to go very far west of here where we have Floridians that quite frankly don't have a home that they can connect power to. So it is a struggle in trying to set those expectations of what should somebody really expect, how quickly their power comes back on. Yet, when the power company's out turning the power back on, I'm fielding calls from people saying, hey, they're cutting too much of the tree back away from the power line, and we love our trees, which we all do, but somewhere in there's a balance. And so I've resigned myself, we can communicate all we want, the best way we can, as often as we want. At the end of the day, there's going to be some folks who just, for whatever reason, don't see it at the specific time they want the data, or not going to be happy completely. But I would assure you, my observations and also talking to the 7 cities and the school board, we've done a pretty darn good job through this event. And all of our employees and EOC folks doing great work to protect the community, get them the information, deploy those things that are necessary. So that I think it's, maybe some further conversation. I don't know how you ultimately cure that. I mean, we even sent it to the news media, who are pumping some of that stuff out too, so it's tough. Also want to thank Congressman Mills. As you heard, Commissioner Herr was here to accept the Starlink, but also we accepted a truckload of supplies for the community, baby formula, diapers, wet wipes, bug spray, water, and those are things that are assets that have gone to good use. As many of you know, my district still remains flooded in certain areas. They still have those services of the laundromat and the shower rooms set up, which it's really amazing to see how appreciative people are when they don't have power and their home's flooded. They just want a good, clean shower. And it's just like, it just makes their day. And if they got a place to wash their clothes, because they have no way of washing their clothes, it really goes a long way from that aspect. Outside of that, the only other thing I've got on the radar that I'd like to discuss with my fellow commissioners is the Board of Adjustment policy and procedure. There is a particular case that is happening right now that I've asked the county manager to look at for the availability to fast track it to the county commission. And this is based on what, at least from my vision, is a pretty arbitrary, capricious situation that should not have occurred, of events that has played out. And I would like the county manager to get with my fellow commissioners and have that discussion. There is nothing of value in my mind that a citizen would be forced to continue to spend money with an attorney to get all the way through the Board of Adjustment process and then ultimately come to us. And I think if we need to revisit that policy, whatever the case might be, if it's an egregious or obvious scenario, and how we discern that, I think we need to come up with a way to do that. Otherwise, we require a $1,000 fee to appeal, which we all know, I think this board approved, but then you've got the attorney's fees that continue racking up to even get there. So for a citizen that is maybe financially strapped, it's an insurmountable case to get there. So I'll let them share that specific information with each one of you, and I've asked them to look into that. If there's anything you need to add to that, I know we've had discussion.
No, we we're looking at it as we speak. So Kate and I have not discussed that yet,
Okay.
but we did talk about it on Friday. So
Great.
we'll brief you and the board on it as well.
Fantastic.
Go ahead.
Okay, anything else for the good of the order?
So I guess I just need a better explanation. Are you bringing to us a change to code, or are you bringing to us an exception for this one person that's struggling with the process? What are we talking about?
I've asked them to bring forward this specific case and have a discussion if it meets the code or doesn't meet the code, or if there is a vehicle to fast track it to the Board of County Commission.
So in the opposite order. So if there is a vehicle to fast track it, then bring it forward.
Correct.
And right now, correct me if I'm wrong, our code does not allow it to come to the board. First, it has to go through the Board of Adjustments, but that's what, we're discussing.
Yeah, it's a land development code provision that
Understood.
requires this sort of decision to go to the Board of Adjustment first. So if you wanted to see that process changed, it would be a code amendment.
Okay. All right. So there's part of your answer, but if you would share that information with my fellow commissioners,
Absolutely.
I suspect someone will have a different.
Yeah, and we're going to talk through it as well, so.
Great. Anything else for the good of the order? Commissioner Herr.
This is in response to the documents that were handed down the dais earlier, and I do think this may already happen. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but there does seem to be a recurring theme of homeowners associations not necessarily either A, doing what they know they should do, or B, knowing what they should do and therefore not doing it with regard to management of retention ponds, ditches, et cetera. And so some of this is that.
Some of it's not.
So I understand that. Some of this is that, which is the only part I'm addressing. There's a lot of it that goes on, and I wonder if there needs to be a more proactive approach with these homeowners associations in terms of education, getting them in here. This is your right, your responsibility and your obligation, and it needs to be a regular, not just hurricane situation. I know we have homeowners associations in my district that have no idea that that ditch is theirs, because they're the new board that just came in, and yay, you got elected president of the homeowners association, which is just.
Right, yeah, Rie is right.
And so I think there has to be some sort of approach as we're building to the degree that has happened in the community to make sure that they actually understand what they're supposed to be doing.
Well, and to that point, Alan Harris at one time did have a comprehensive list of all the HOAs that were currently active. It probably would be the best method to send out that information. Although I don't know how we can police and make sure they do what they should do, but at least, it's on record. I think we also, during this time, as many of you know, last year and the year before, I asked Rebecca's group to consider looking at this whole process of, one of the problems we run into with this flooding, of course, what we first have to accept is we cannot control Mother Nature. That's the first thing. We need to be fair and honest conversation with ourselves as well as our citizens, because every time something floods, it's that ditch wasn't maintained or those houses were built. All that plays a role, no question about it. But you can't control Mother Nature. The bigger problem that I continue to observe is when a planned development or community comes in, there is a master drainage plan that is put in place based on what is about to be built, whether that's 12 homes, 30 homes, or 270 homes, whatever that number is. Okay, great. Our people review it, they sign off, say, yeah, that drainage plan is adequate for what you're about to build. Then what happens is half of those people come in and ask for a swimming pool to be built. Another half come in and ask for a shed to be built. Another portion come in and ask for a shed and a swimming pool. Others come in and ask for, or maybe don't ask for.
That's what I was going to say. They forget to ask.
And they widen their driveway or build
Yeah.
whatever they're building, chicken coops or whatever it might be. And so,
With
all
more
of a
chickens
sudden-
than they're supposed to have.
right, then all of a sudden, it dawns on them that they're flooding, which then becomes the county's fault. In looking at other jurisdictions, when someone comes in to build a pool or build a shed, it requires some kind of civil engineering review, drainage, on how that's going to impact the original master drainage plan of that community. So if you take, 500 homes and you're adding X amount of square footage of non-permeable ground, and you've raised it up for your swimming pool, and you've added storm gutters around your top of your roof, and you're dumping it the opposite way of the drainage was supposed to go, this all becomes a problem. And it's easy to point fingers at the government. It's easy to point fingers at a developer. It's easy to point at those who build houses across from you where there used to be trees. But interesting enough, and I think some of my fellow commissioners have probably done this if you've done your homework on some of these, it's amazing how many have called and said, I've lived here for 30 years, I've never had this kind of water, this is absolutely ridiculous, it's because of the road you put in, it's because of this. Our staff has historic photos that go back, way back. And it's very interesting when you go back 50 years or 60 years and you pull this piece of property that now has a house on it, didn't have a house on it then, that had a pond right in the middle where the house is now at some point in history. And allegedly, sure, it hasn't flooded in the last 30 years, but it certainly did flood at some point. And I say that only as this is only going to get worse as these events continue to play out, that, stop building homes, increase the ditches, add this, stop, raising the road, whatever the case might be. But there are genuine tools in our toolbox that I think we should be utilizing to help mitigate that. In addition, it's like these right-of-way abandonments we do. I'm not so sure that we actually look at those close enough to say, you know what? That could be compensating storage for this area if needed. So I think we need to take a real good look at moving forward for the next generation, how we deal with these improvements that are happening in these communities that are having problems that arguably maybe self-induced by the residents.
And the cost that's attained with having to fix the problem after it happens.
That's right. Commissioner Lockhart.
So in that vein, I recently learned about a software system called MarkSan, and it's being utilized exceptionally well at Stetson University with Dr. Evans.
Hatters.
Yes, go Hatters. I learned about it through a field trip with Andrea Wesser-Bronner and John Slott and whoever else was on that field trip with us out there. And we had a follow-up discussion with Darren Gray and several other folks that weren't able to be on the field trip. Anyway, long story short, this system is able to take GIS data, overlap it with property appraiser data. We can look at all of the properties that are either currently county-owned or city-owned or privately owned properties that may have a value attached to them for consideration for purchase in the future, whether it's through Seminole Forever or some other means, so that we can do some of this type of green infrastructure that will help to mitigate some of these problems. I think one of the things that we've been missing is that type of tool in the toolbox, because all we have are people that are able to drive around and go, well, that pond looks wet and that pond looks dry, and we think we might be able to get that for that. So this would be a wonderful way, and I'm grateful that Darren and everybody that's a part of that team that's looking at that are continuing to see how that could help us. Counties around us, neighboring counties, have implemented it and are using it, and we've seen examples of their mapping, and it is truly remarkable. So hopefully it could be very beneficial here in Seminole County as well.
Agreed. Yeah, I think the basin studies being completed and getting all that baseline information is going to be
This
very
makes a
helpful.
basin study look like the Stone Age.
Yeah, understood, but the basin study data needs to be in the system in order to make a good decision. Garbage in is garbage out.
Agreed, and Darren, I'm sure, will be looking forward to briefing all of you on the program.
I was pretty wowed by it, actually, what this model does. And it just came at a unique time when the storm came through and what successes they've had with it. So we're continuing to explore it, and we'll be bringing that back to the board soon. I'll be briefing you all on it.
Great. Very good. Commissioner Hur.
I just want to go back to the whole ditch conversation. Just for a minute, because I think it got lost in that.
You're in the ditch or the weeds in the ditch?
In all of that. And I'm going to use a real-life example. So we have a subdivision that is in the city of Sanford that butts up to the county across the street, and the tail end of it is not theirs, but is the city's. So in this one ditch that I can walk in probably a minute and a half, there are 3 people responsible for maintaining it. Therefore, it's not maintained, because everybody's doing this.
Winter
Well, I
Springs,
did mine
same.
up to here, and they got to do their, that can't be, I mean, I'm probably making Tony cringe out there. I'm watching you, Tony, you're like, oh my gosh, you probably know but that's just illogical to me. First of all, it's expensive, because we've got 3 people going out there at 3 different times, but we really need to rethink that.
Well, typically, you see some of those things, to your point, and traffic lights are a prime example, probably one we see every day, is a maintenance agreement with the city or the HOA or whoever it is, that it's spelled out on who's supposed to maintain that.
Oh, it's spelled out. It's
even-
3 different people in
No,
a short span.
Understood, but often those agreements are, we agree all 3 of us have ownership, but you are going to do the maintenance on it, and we're going to fund part of that maintenance.
Well, I realize
Or a prop share.
that's an opportunity, but we didn't take it. And I
Sure.
suspect that that's happening in more places, probably with the newer development. It needs to be addressed when they're coming in, and it needs to be addressed retroactively to figure out what's the best solution for these, or we're always going to be battling it.
That's right. Agreed. Okay. Anything else for the good of the order? Seeing none, we are, oh, that's right, we got public comment. I almost forgot about that. I didn't see a lot of people from the public. Do we have anybody here that wishes to make any public comment?
No, sir.
Okay, we are hereby adjourned. Thank you.